Yo, 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 my Star Citizens and new gamers. Welcome back to another episode of Star Citizen with me, Melings. And in today's episode, I was asked by Antoine to check out some medium ships and give a comparison. So I'm going to do that one in this one. So we already like this video, guys. If you do like this video, don't forget to take that pointer, tick on that like button for us and hit that bell and subscribe notification. Roll the intro. So I was asked by Antoine to have a look at the Argo Raft, the C1 Spirit, the Freelancer Max, and the Hull A, and give a comparison on which one would be the best medium ships. And to cut a long story short, I think the best ones is going to be the Max and the C1 Spirit. So that's what I'll concentrate on today. The Argo Raft is pretty useless at the moment until there's no tractor beam on it, and it is pretty specific in its use of being able to take 32 SCU cargo from ships and stuff like that. So until that gameplay comes in and there's weights and stuff, there's no point in getting an Argo Raft. You can't mix the cargo. You've got to buy 3 lots of 32. This is the only mixture you can do. And it's a break and takes ages to do anything. So I wouldn't be looking at the Argo Raft. So that leaves you with the Hull A and the Max and the C1. You could also throw in there an Andromeda or a Taurus and maybe a Cutty Black as well. But going off it, the best ships for medium vice running is going to be your C1 and your Max. When you get to the Max and the Taurus, there's a crossover point where you can start buying normal cargo over having to do running for Vice. So if you want a crossover point and be able to do Vice as well as to do normal cargo running, you're going to be looking at maybe the Max. When you go over to the Taurus, you're going to be doing more normal cargo running like Beryl and Laranite and stuff like that. You can do that in the Max and make some money, but you can also do Vice cargo running with the Max as well. You're all welcome, invisible guy. So if you're just going to be then concentrating on Vice, then your best ship is going to be your C1. And I'm going to explain why throughout the video. Cutting a long story short, basically, the C1 and the Max have more uses. So like the Hull A is generally just specifically, you're going to get cargo, around 60 cargo. But you get 60 cargo in a C1, but the C1 also has the bay, or the cargo hold. So you can put rock trucks in there, you can move different cargo around, you can transport guns and stuff like that. You can't do that with the Hull A at the moment. And so with the C1, there's more uses. And it has the tractor beam, whereas the Hull A doesn't have the tractor beam at the moment, as far as I know. And so the Hull A also gets blown around a lot, especially when it's got its cargo on, it's quite heavy. And there's also you've got to think about the quantum drives and updating and stuff like that. So I think the C1 and the Max are the two to be looking at. If you're going to want a medium cargo ship that either is going to do Vice running, then you're going to go for something like the C1. But if you want to add into that cargo Vice running, or maybe having the option to do normal cargo, then you're probably going to be looking at a Max. The Max you can buy in game for about 2 million at the moment. You can't buy the C1 in game at the moment, but you can buy the A1, so I'm presuming the C1 will come in the next 2 patches. So comparison wise, the Max and the C1 are sort of in the same boat. Now, the other thing you'll look at is, with the C1, it has a drive that can go a great distance, but is really, really fast, around 280,000-ish per kilometers per second or something like that. Really, really fast. Whereas the Max is only about 160 odd with its basic drive. So you're going to get from somewhere Microtech to Crusader in about 8 minutes in a Max and about 4 minutes in a C1. Now you can update the drive in the Max, but it's going to cost you about 100,000, and then you've got to worry about getting that drive and stuff like that. But you're then going to have double the cargo. So that's what you've got to think about. As far as armament, they're about the same. As far as shields and stuff like that, they're about the same. And it all will boil down to, in the end, is what do you feel like in it? So without further ado, guys, let's get into the video. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just roll. I'm going to have me talking over me going over to Jumptown, or not Jumptown, I think it's Raven's Roost or somewhere like that. I'm going to, and I'll do that in the Max and I'll do it in the C1. I think them are the two ships you should be looking at in any scenario for medium cargo running. If you want a medium cargo running ship, the Max or the C1 is the two that you're going to seriously have to look at. The Hull A, I don't think is any use at the moment, and the Argo Raft is not any use. There is the argument for something like the Cutty Black, and so that you can sort of look at that. But then if you go to something like a Taurus, then you're in the crossover point of just getting normal cargo rather than going in and out of vice places like Raven's Roost and Paradise Cove and Jumptown and stuff like that. So let's get into this one, guys. So here I am at aUEC, and I'm going to look at the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the main prices. So I think in the end, the two that are going to be comparable and ones to look at is going to be the C1 and the Max. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the ship prices here. So the C1 here is not yet in game, but the A1 has just come in game. But it's not showing on here. I'm not too sure how much it is. I think it's only a couple of million. But the A1 is now in game, but the C1 is not in game. But it should be in the next couple of patches, or the next couple of updates. And then we have the Max, which I think is 4 million or something like that. Where are we? Max. The Freelancer Max is 2.1 million. So I think they're going to be around the same sort of price in the end. So let's have a look at the DPS calculator on this. So I've got on here the Taurus, and the Taurus, you're going to have to change the quantum drive, but this is going to be more of a ship that you would use for doing normal cargo running rather than this vice cargo running. So if you want to go to vice, if you don't want to be doing vice cargo running, the two ships you should be looking at is either the Max or the Taurus, because the Taurus is 170 cargo, 174, and the Max is 120. So you want to be looking at those two if you want to be doing normal running of things like Laranai and Beryl and stuff like that. But if you go below 120 SCU cargo, then the only things you're really going to make profit from is Vice and Gold. Now, you could make money on other stuff, and I'll show you that in a minute, but you're not going to make a lot, and it depends whether you want to be doing that and you just want the gameplay rather than making the money. So we've got this Boolean drive on the Taurus, but if we look at the Max, when we go to the Max has this Odyssey drive. And this does a maximum speed of 124,000 kilometers per second and does 229 million kilometers distance. Whereas this one does a 74,000 max speed and 458. Now, the furthest place we currently have is about 59 between two places. So it's more than enough on both of them. So on the drive, I think the Freelancer Max wins out on the drive for the two bigger ships if you want to do normal cargo running. Now, if you're going to be doing vice running, you've got the Hull A, which has about 48 cargo. So that's not a lot. That's not a lot. I thought it was 60 something, unless it's gone down since, but I'm sure it was 60 something. But 48 cargo, it's just not worth it. You're only really going to be doing vice, and it blows all over the shore. Its drive has got Goliath driving, so you'd have to update the drive because it only does 89,000 kilometers per second, but does a really good distance. But like I said, we're only at 59 at the moment, so maybe later on that will come in and have its own. But for cargo running, at the moment, there's no point in the Argo Raft because you can't mix cargo in that until they have the 32 SCU where you can put cargo in it. There's no point, so I wouldn't touch the Argo Raft at this moment. There's just ships that do better jobs. And the Hull A just gets blown around all over the shore, and it has 48 cargo. I thought it was 60 something, unless it's changed. You guys can let me know in the comments. But again, its drive is not a brilliant drive for moving around. So you're left with the Freelancer Max and the C1 as the two main ships to be looking at. The Freelancer Max 120 cargo, and the C1 has doesn't say it around here. It's 60 something anyway. It's 64 or something like that, the cargo on the C1 Spirit. Now, the drives, they both got these really good drives in it. So this one's got the Jaeger military grade B, and it does 248 kilometers per second, really fast, and it covers the whole distance. So it's really, really good. The Freelancer Max does 124, so about half the speed, and does around less distance, I think it is. Around just a little bit over the distance, but almost half the speed. So the C1 wins out in speed. So you could probably, you're going to get from Microtech to ArtCorp. So say if you did a run from Microtech to ArtCorp, it's only going to take you 4 minutes in the C1, whereas it's going to take you 8 minutes. It's going to take you double the time in the Freelancer Max. So even though the Freelancer Max has got more cargo, it's going to take twice as long to get there. So you've got to keep that in mind, unless you update the drive where you can get a drive that does a better top speed here. So you could go for something like this one, but which does 100 and something. So you could take the X1 and put that in instead, but then you've got to go and buy that drive. I'm looking here at stock drives and what you get stock with it. So the C1 wins out in distance and speed. And this one, the Max has 2 coolers and 1 power plant and 2 shields. And you've got the 1 full stop shield on the Spirit, and you've got 1 power plant and 1 cooler. And let's have a look at armament. So the Max is more for a dual ship. It does have the cargo, it has the turret on the top for another person to use. But you've got 4 cannons that the pilot can use. They're stuck on the side here. So you've got 4, 2 this side and 2 this side, 2 left, 2 right. And then you've got the man turret, and then you've got loads of size 3. You've got two size 3 missiles. You've got 2 size 2 missiles, 2 size 3 missiles, 2 size 2 missiles. So you've got a decent amount of missiles on that. And with the C1, you only got a couple of missiles. You only got like 4 missile size 3s. But you could change these drives and say, okay, I want maybe this one instead, and have 8 size 1 missiles instead. So you could have 16 size 1 missiles instead if you wanted to do that instead. So you can have 16 size 1s. With this, you can have, if we change these to be able to hold size 1s. So that one you can't hold size, you can only do for size 2s, I think. This one can do. So you can get 16 here, and then another 8 on top. So you're going to get about 8 more missiles with the Freelancer Max. And you've got this, obviously, the man turret if you've got a second person. It doesn't have a tractor beam on the Max, whereas it does have a tractor beam on the C1 Spirit. And the C1 Spirit also has 2 laser cannons on the sides here, one here and one here. And then you've got two 5As on the front there. So it's got 4 cannons. It's the same as this one. And they're size 2s. And these are size 2s. So the armaments are the same. So this wins out on speed. It's got the same armament. It's got less on the shields because this has 2 shields. And you've got the Max wins out on the missiles. So you've got to look at it more on the feel of it as well. And for me, the C1 just feels better as a solo ship and a multi-crew ship, because it does also have the tractor beam as well. And so for me, I would go for the C1 because of the speed. Yes, it got half the cargo, but you could, like I said, move one of them boxes out once you've bought some cargo, move one of them 32 sizes out and go and buy another 32, and then bring that 32 in and have 90 odd cargo. But then you would be able to sell 60 of it and then move one of them back on the grid or whatever, unless you can sell off grid. I'm not too sure, but there is the option of trying that. So for me, I wouldn't bother with the Argo Raft at this moment in time. Even though it's got 90 cargo, you can't mix that cargo. You can only get 3 lots of 32. And it's like a brick. It doesn't have a tractor beam. It's slow. There's no point in that ship at the moment until they bring in weights and having to be able to pick certain weights up with certain ships. And yes, it was probably designed to move cargo from something like a whole sea. But you could do that with the C1 Spirit and the tractor beam on that and pull the same amount off. So, and then I'd probably rather take something like a C2 and move that cargo rather than trying to do multiple trips with the Argo Raft. So I think the Raft at this moment in time in this game it's pretty useless. The hull A, again, if that is gone down to 48 cargo, again, that's pretty useless. Like I say, it's really, the way its legs are in that, it blows all over the show once it's open and you've got your cargo on. It's really slow at getting off the ground. The bad drive on it, it's got two size 2 turrets here, guns here on the nose. It's not really a great ship, multi-use ship. You can't put vehicles in it. Your cargo's in the open. I used to love this ship as a runner, but I think there's just better ships now that do the job, like the C1 and the Max. And even just maybe a Freelancer on its own would probably do better than the hull A. And so I wouldn't touch the hull A now. I'd stick with the Max or the C1. There is also an argument instead of going the hull A to going for something like a Cutlass Black or something that has the same amount of cargo as the Cutlass Black, and the Cutlass Black has more uses because you can put a rock truck in it and stuff like that. So that the argument is, I think again, this ship has just not got a use now because there's other ships that do better jobs. So for the medium ships, you're going to have to choose between a Max and a C1. The Max is currently in game. You can buy it in game, so that's the one to go for now. It does 120 cargo. You can update the drive if you need to. You can update that drive at, let's have a look, at Orison's, Cousin Crow or Port Tressler. It's going to cost you 100,000 to update the drive to a faster drive, and then that will do the same trip then and the same time as the C1. But coming as standard, once you can get the C1, if you've got a C1 or once it does come in game to buy it, C1 is the ship to go for at the moment for this medium cargo running. Now the C1, you're not really going to make a profit from buying normal cargo like Lyranite and stuff like that, because you can't use a tractor beam in the Armistice zone, so you can't just pull out the cargo and move it around like I was saying earlier with the C1. In normal circumstances, you can only really do that in where there's vice areas and there's no Armistice zones. So it depends on what you want to do. If you want a ship that can do vice running, but then if there's no vice around or gold around, you can fall back on things like Lyranite and Beryl and stuff like that, then the Max is the one to go for with an updated drive. If you want to do smaller runs, the good thing with having a small amount of cargo in a ship like the C1 is you're not waiting around to fill it. So you can just drop down there and you don't need as much stock to fill it as you saw with what I did earlier on that run. And so basically, it's about feeling the two. I would see if you can get someone to, if you don't have a C1 at the moment, see if someone can let you fly one of their C1s or go and buy an A1, because you can buy the A1s now in Lawville. Get an A1 and feel how that flies compared to a Max. You can get the Max also at Lawville in the new deal place or whatever it's called. So I'd go and buy both of those and see how you feel about the feel of the two ships. And for me, I just think the Crusader 1 series just feels so much better. Yeah, you're getting less cargo, but it's about having fun doing it as well. So for me, the C1 wins out in all. It's got the speed. It does have decentish cargo. It's got good armament. It's got good missiles, and it's just a really fast ship. And it has the tractor beam, so you can do other things. They've both got the cargo area so that you can put rock trucks in, so you could do rock truck mining and stuff like that, or move cargo around and stuff like that. So I just think out of them three ships, out of all those ships that we mentioned at the beginning, I think the C1 Spirit wins out overall. You can't get it in game, but I think in the next two patches you'll be able to get it, because you can get the A1 now, which only came out about 1 or 2 patches before the C1 came into the game. So for me, definitely go for the C1. If you can't get hold of it, maybe go and get a Max for now, and then at some point see if you can get hold of a C1 once that does come in game. Or like I say, go and try the A1 because it has the same feel as the C1. So that's my thoughts on this, guys. I know it's not been an amazing video on all that, but I'm just going over my thoughts for you and showing you some of the stats on here. So let me go to the ship place here, the trade place. And with Tick says something like the Max here. If we can find it. Let's look at the hull A. So the hull A is 64. I thought it wasn't 48. It is 64. And say if we go something like Agricium and we get it from the best place, buy this here is the best place because of the price is the lowest you're going to buy it from. And then here's the highest price you can sell it. So say we go from here to here, it's still going to be a trip. So the drive is going to be the issue that you get there going from Crusade to Crusade. Actually is not too bad. You're not going across the planet. But say you go here, you're going to make 32 grand. So you can make some okay money. If you're okay making like 30 grand. So if we say Ascertine's another one, Woodruff from Hurston to Magnus Gateway, we're going to make 12,000 profit. So if we look at Hephaestonite on it, Pyro Gateway, Taurus, 32 grand. So you can make about 30,000 with the whole A. Again, 40,000 from Arkcorp to Hurston, but then that travel is going to be long unless you update that drive. But you can make okay profit. But say if we take something like the C1, when you have the C1, which has the same amount of cargo, you are going to make the same amount of profit on that same run, but you're in a ship that doesn't need to update its drive, so it's going to get there faster, a lot faster, by 10 minutes. And you're going to also have the option to put trucks in there and other stuff, and if you find cargo on the way, there's many times I've gone to the dumpers yards and there's been cargo lying around that I put on my ship and taken to sell. But then if you take something like the Max, the Freelancer Max here, which has 120 cargo, so you're going to make about 70,000 profit on that same run with the Laranite and Beryl probably around the same. So from Microtech to Crusader, that's a big run. And you're going to make 70 grand, and that's why you need those drives that get there faster. Right? You don't want to be going 14 minutes on this journey when you can do it in 4 with an updated drive. And the Max will give you that updated drive. Actually, you'd have to update it because it's going to take half the time it's going to take double the time as a C1. So even though you're making 70 grand, it's going to take you 14 minutes to get there, unless you update that drive for 100,000. But if you take something like the C1, you're going to make a little bit less. We can find it. Where are you? C1. So if you take the C1, you're going to make just under half the amount, but it's going to take you 4 minutes to get there. So you could do 2 trips in a C1, than you can do in a Max. So that's the understanding of that. This is what I'm trying to get at, is the C1 wins out unless you update the drive of the Max. And the same goes for the Taurus. The Taurus can make some really good money. And that's what I'm saying. When you get to the Taurus, Apollo, Andromeda Taurus here, it's got 174. So you're going to make about 100,000 profit on that same run. But it's going to take you 40 minutes to do the run unless you update the drive, and that's going to cost you about 100,000. So again, it's the Taurus and the Max are the two that you can cross over and do normal cargo running, and then the Vice running. If I go to SC Trade Tools, Vice running is going to be the best for the other ships. So if I pick on here like a C1 Spirit and click that, it's going to set the gold is going to be the best runs. You can earn in 400,000 if you can get enough gold, filling up your gold. But gold is very hard to get, so you're going to be looking at other commodities like Widow and Slam. Let's have a look at some Slam there. Submit that. So you're going to make some really good money. You're going to make 6,000 profit per SCU on Slam. So that's why them ships are good. I, in my opinion, prefer the C1, but again, I also prefer the Caterpillar over the C2. Whereas a lot of people say the C2 is far superior to the Caterpillar, because you've got the bays for you putting in trucks. You've got so much more cargo space and so much more firepower, and it's easier to fly. But I just prefer the C2, the Caterpillar. So again, it's subjective. It's all on what you feel. And that's what I'm getting at with this whole video. It's all about what you feel. And for me, the C1 wins out over the Max because of the feel of it. And yes, it's got less cargo, but I can do more runs in just a stock version of it. And so, yeah, so we hope you like this video, guys. Hopefully all that makes sense to you. Hopefully you get some good information out of it and you can use that information. And if you do, don't forget to take that point, to tickle that like button. Let us know your thoughts in the description. Stuff I've missed out, any ships I've missed out that you guys think actually are better than those two altogether. in the medium category, so basically around 120 cargo and less. Because you're not going to be able to, the crossover point is around 120 where you can then go and start getting normal cargo like this. So yeah, so we hope you like that one, guys. And what I'm going to do now is just play in the background, me looking over the C1 and just talking about that, and then heading over to Raven's Roost in both the C1 and in a Max, and just so you guys can sort of see that and what the ships look like and feel and how they look when I'm flying them. So the reason I think this is one of the best ships, and this one and the Max, is because of this, the multiple use. So with the Raft you don't get a multiple use, and with the Hull A you don't get a multiple use. You can get a multiple use with the Andromeda and the Taurus and stuff like that, but so that's, again, it's another one. With the Taurus you're sort of going up to another level like the Max, where you can go to pick up normal cargo rather than just going for Vice. So the thing is with this one, it does have a weapons cabinet. We do have a weapons cabinet with this one, where you don't get a weapons cabinet with a Max, but so you can put 3 things in there and 2 normal guns in there. So 3, like you could put your med device, your tractor beam or whatever, and then a pistol, and then you can put 2 normal size guns in there, and you don't get that with the Max. And the same is you don't get storage with the Max neither. You don't get like this internal storage that can be shared with everybody else. So that's another thing that wins over with the C1 over the Max. The Max does have a turret, but it doesn't have a tractor beam. So it depends on the use you want, really. So let's get into this. You can get 64 cargo in here. You could probably put in another one at this point where you can move big boxes. You may be able to get another one in the middle, but you'd have to take it out as you come. You'd have to bring it in backwards to slot it in, and then you'd have to take it out before you can leave the ship and then put it back in later, something like that. So you could get 90 something if you wanted, if you could fit it in. So let's go into why these small to medium cargo ships are not really great for normal cargo running, other than the Max, which is sort of the Max and the Taurus are verging on the switchover point from having to get Vice and Gold to switching over to normal cargo. Everything else below that 120 mark there's no point in, if you're looking for pure profit, there's no point in getting normal cargo. There's just no point. If you're not bothered about the pure profit and you're happy with a couple, like 30 grand here and there, then the other ships you can get normal cargo, and it's a good way for a new player to learn to get cargo and stuff like that. Let me just turn the ship on. Turn the ship on.
Starting pre-flight protocols. All systems operational.
Request takeoff.
Requesting clearance.
You are clear to launch.
Stand by.
Power shields.
Maximizing shields.
Now, so if you are going for pure profit, power thrusters.
Maximizing engine.
If you're going for pure profit, then your best bet is... Oh, door's not open. Then your best bet is to go to Vice running and Gold running. That's your best bet. And with the new settlements coming in, then these smaller ships are really good for that as well, rather than the big A2s, C2s, should I say, and the Caterpillars and stuff like that. Now, like I say, it is all subjective on what you want. Like, I love the A1. I think it's a great ship, the A1. It's got multiple uses. It's got a tractor beam. It's got some decent armament and shields. It can travel quite fast and long distances. But it's all subjective to what you like, because a lot of people will say that the C2 is the best larger cargo ships because of its practicality, its multiple uses. It's got turrets for multi-crew. You can obviously put other, land vehicles in it. It's got the biggest space for cargo. Whereas the Caterpillar doesn't have the biggest space for cargo. You can't lock in 32 size cargo on the grid. You can't really put land vehicles in it as much. There's no ramp to be able to do that, so you'd have to tractor beam it up if you wanted to do that. But I prefer the Caterpillar over the C2. The C2 has everything. It's great at flying and all that stuff. But the Caterpillar just has something that I love about it, and I don't know what it is. So it's all subjective to what you like. You might like there's something like the Hull A that has a 64 cargo and doesn't have other uses, like being able to put stuff in like a rock truck and stuff like that. But if it's going to be one of your only cargo ships, I don't think the Hull A is a great fit for someone, because there is no multi-use. You can't put a vehicle in it and all your cargo's on the outside, which can easily be taken. Plus, when it's windy, it gets blown around quite a lot because it's got like little skinny legs, and it's sort of like all its weight is getting put on this real small area in the center of the ship. There's no like width to the ship, so it gets blown over quite a lot, especially around microtech. Whereas things like this A1, which has the same cargo, has multiple uses. C1 should I say, it has multiple uses. It is a bigger ship, but it's got better armament, it's got better shields, multiple uses. You can put vehicles in it, and has the same cargo space, and can travel quite good distances, and it's really fast at getting in and out of atmosphere, whereas the Hull A is really slow at getting in and out of atmosphere. So I'm going to go through all that lot with you in the build up. I'm going to go through all the stats with it, but what I wanted to do is just basically show you why something like the C1 is best at doing this type, is the best of the medium ships for doing what you need to do, where it's not a crossover. So like the Max and the Taurus are crossovers where you can get normal cargo with it, whereas the C1 and the Hull A are not really crossover, and your best bet, unless you're happy with like 30,000 here and there, you don't really want to be using it for normal cargo running. So let me just grab some stuff up here. So what I'm going to do is, I put a video out the other day. There is some new, they've changed all the drug dens. So I'm going to show you why this is good, why this C1 is really, really good, and I think is the best medium ship. I'm going to show you now. I don't think, maybe the Max could, but I still think the Max has a little bit more weight to it, and I did this the other day, and I'll play that as well. I'll do this run here now, and I'll show you the same run with the Max. But I'm not going to go out in the Hull A, and I'm not going to go out in the Argo Raft, and I'm not going to do this same run in the Taurus, but I will explain the Taurus and why that's better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to OM1 and find OM1. There's OM3. 5, 4, make it 4. OM1. So I'm going to jump to OM1. I'm going to look back at the planet, and this is why this ship is a brilliant ship. So I'm going to look back at the planet, and I'm going to set at the top here of my compass. You see this here. I'm going to set this to be 116 and about 50 on here. So let's do that. Let's find 116 on here. So about here, around here basically. And then 50 on this part here. We want about 50 on that. So let's just spin ourselves and push ourselves down. So I'm just going to push down here. And I'm going to lock in my path and just keep pushing down forward around that 116. I want not 110. So let me move that to 116 there. And then down, down, down to there. So that's where I'm gonna aim, around here. About here. Spin myself around a bit. I'm just going to push forward here. About there. Just keep pushing forward, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump this video as we get closer in. I have got a video on how to get to Raven's Roost, and I'll post that in the top now and also in the description. So always remember coming into this one, guys, this section here, this area, it's sort of like a cove type thing, and this is where we're looking at. So now we're just looking for the lights, and I presume that's going to be it there. There's a box there, so I presume it's going to be around here. And it's in a forested area where we're going.
Landing gear down.
We should start seeing us coming into sight now. And this is why these ships are good, because as we start getting closer, you'll see how enclosed it is with all the forest around it. As we start getting closer in, and we find where it is, once it starts popping up. Oh. So now we've got to just find it. Just over a little bit, maybe. Very smoggy. Lost a lot of visibility now. Let's get over that cloud. Let's start looking. It should come up in sometime soon. There it is, down there. In that little bit. So I knew it was in like a little alcove treed area. Right there. So as we're getting closer, let's get our landing gear down and our stability here. And so this is Paradise sorry, Raven's Roost. And as you can see, I mean, you can't really see, but even if I put my lights on, you won't be able to see. There's no real place for landing here. It's terrible. That is absolutely terrible. Where am I? I'm upside down, I think. Guys, this is terrible. Can you imagine trying to control a big ship around here? Let's get in close if we can. Ah, maybe it's because I'm like landing on it. But you see how difficult this is. It's very difficult to land. So you can imagine like trying to land a big ship around here is going to be difficult. Turn engines off.
Powering down systems.
And this is why this is good. So, right, why do we use the smaller ships or the smaller to medium ships for this type of thing, for these runs? Because there's not really great room for them bigger ships to land. And I'll show that with Necropolis and stuff like that as well. And also, it's less chance of having to... less chance of having to wait around for cargo. By having a smaller ship, you can fill up quicker and less chance of having the cargo. So it looks like the back door's locked, or the front door, whatever it is here, is locked. Bug on it. Let's go underneath and across. There's a way of getting in underneath there. Well, not in, but there's like an area you can go underneath there. And this should be blue, not green yet, because nobody's in. It's very windy. Now, something like the Hull A will struggle here because of the uneven ground and stuff like that. So there's no bales being spat out here. You will get boxes like this here with loot in it. So I'm just going to move all of this over. And then you'll find boxes, other boxes like this to loot. It should have other stuff in it as well. And then you'll find gun ones or ammo ones lying around. So let's see what they've got here. What can we pick up? So we've got 20 ETAM, 50 altitude, so 28 widow as well. Now let's see if they fix that bug as well for buying the full amount of loot. So we got 28 widow, buy, confirm. Will it give me? Yeah, it failed. So it's still got that issue, so we have to buy 27 instead. Widow obviously being going to give me the most profit, so we'll accept that. Then the next one is going to be ETAM, which is going to give me the next lot of profit. And that's max inventory, so I can get all of that. And then the next one after that is going to be Neon. So we'll buy all of that. Well, can we buy 17 of that? And that's going to fill us up. So we're now full. I didn't have a look how much I spent there, but I will put it on. I will do a voiceover after to say how much I spent. All that. Get into that. Let's take all of this stuff. Very windy outside. Doubt anyone will be able to see me anyway if they came along. So I'll have a look around. Sometimes bales will spit out of there when Jump Town is on, the Jump Town event, and it comes over to this side. Okay, windy out. Not finding any weapon stuff, just all this med stuff. So that door's stuck. Not let me out there. Okay, so we've done that. So let's get out of here. And this is why these smaller ships are good, because I'm full. I've literally filled up, and I'll voice over how much I earned in the end. But I'm full now. And that's it. I can get on my way. I don't have to mess around and wait around and stuff like that. That's where you get up onto the inside bit. Not into the inside, but onto the structures at the top as well. I did put my landing gear down, but because it's low profile, I think. Maybe I didn't put my landing gear down. Maybe I had it down originally and then something happened. I don't know. So there we are. So you see what I'm on about. We could put another thing in here and drag it in if we bought. If we no, we can't buy it, but say we took one of these out and went back in and bought another one. We could do that basically. Turn engines on.
Starting pre-flight protocols. All systems operational.
Let's get over the clouds. So you can imagine trying to land in there with a bigger ship. That would be it'd be difficult to land in there with a bigger ship with all them trees and everything. I struggled in this one. So there we go. Let's go and sell this. And where we're going to go and sell it over at the breaker's yard.
Quantum travel complete. Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete.
Now, Devlin scrap and salvage here is really, really windy, and so coming in down here in an all air is hard. Blacked out there. So someone's in here with the A2, it looks like. And the good thing about the smaller ships as well is you can do this. We can land sort of closer in to places. As long as we leave enough room for the thing at the back, we should be fine. So you see there, just about fitted in. Turn engines off.
Powering down systems.
So that's another good thing about the small and medium ships. So things like the Taurus is harder to get into here, and the Max just about fits in. So So let's see what we sell it for altogether and what we end up with the end. And then I'll do a voiceover on what the actual profit was. So we made 300,000 on the doing the max yesterday. So let's see what we get with all this lot. And obviously with the max we had a full load. I think it was like 50 of the Widow. So that makes a difference as well, obviously. There we are, all sold. So what do we have now? We have 2,852,000. So we made there. So we've got 2.85 million, I think now, and we started off with 2.679. So we made about 180-ish grand, 175 to 180 grand, something like that, around that mark. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go over with a max and see what we get with that. So here I am coming back over to Raven's Roost now in a max, just so you guys can see the difference with the A1 and the max. Visibility is a little bit better on this one. And what I'm going to do is try and pick up as much of the cargo as I can. Unfortunately with this one, I'm actually in the PTU before the 3.22 went live, which is where I did the C1. But so I'm going to be able to get full stock here. So the price is going to be a little bit different. Now the Widow, I'm going to be able to sell. I'm going to be able to get a full load of Widow, which is around 50. But I was only able to get 28, I think, in the C1. So obviously the stock difference in that and the price difference is going to be a little bit different as well. But you sort of get a gauge of what you could do with the max if you can get decent stock. So what I would do here is I would probably just place the package down if I wanted to keep coming back and forth here. And then you've got a package then that you can see for dropping off. So this I presume is the back door, which it looks like it is. And generally when Jumptown events are on, these hoppers open up with bales of like drugs like what I've got here in my hand. So this is the best way this is the best thing for buying cargo with these medium to smaller ships. I'm over here at Raven's Roost. I was able to get over here because of the box, obviously. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up my cargo. And we're in the EPTU, so remember that. And the locations of Raven's Roost and all these drug dens have now all changed. So that could be why there's a full load of Widow. But that's going to give us some really good profit there. So we've got 8.68 million. Let me just quickly write that down. 8.86 million. 8.68 million. And what I'm going to do is buy this cargo and then see what we get from that. So let's choose our ship, which is the Freelancer Max. Widow, full load of Widow, 50k, 505k should I say. Accept that. And I'm going to buy all the Neon. Accept that. And I'm going to buy all the ETAM. And I'm going to buy, I think, 30 toxin. 127 grand. So altogether, we spent just under a million, I think it is. Yeah, just slightly under. So about 900,000 we've spent on this. And so the next place is to take the uncut slam. The next thing to do is to take this uncut slam here. Our ship, and we're going to put this to Devlin's salvage, which is where we're going anyway, so that's good. Exactly where we're going to sell this cargo. Oh, this is where we want to go in here. Now remember guys, these drug dens and that are dangerous places. So just keep that in mind. You know, they have moved, so a lot of people are going to have to re-find them, but they do now show on the map, and other people can pick up these missions to find them easy. These drug missions here. Drop that there, put my gun away, and here's all our cargo here. So we've got 12 in here, and then all the rest of it in here. So let's go and sell this. Turn engines on.
Starting gauge flight protocols. All systems on.
Now, when you're doing this, you definitely need a ship that you can get out of dodge quick with, or one that's got decent armor to let you get away and decent speed. And the Max is really good. It's a real good ship for this. It's a little bit heavy, but it is really good for getting away, and it's got some good armament, like the 4 Emily Skies that it comes stocked with, but you can change those. Shields are good on it, and you've also got a turret gunner as well that could help out. So Devlin Scrap is where we're going now to sell this. Like I say, it is pretty sluggish, this ship, but I'll test it against the C1 later on. But yeah, as a ship for running this type of cargo, this is perfect because it's sort of at the high end where you can then also swap over to get other cargo as well. So we're going to go and drop this off here. We can make a pinpoint on this one. So make sure we're pointing up more. I might have to reset this because I was on the ground and I set it, so sometimes it does that. Now, remember another thing here, guys. What I'm doing here is not what you should do. Don't jump straight to the place where you're going to sell, because me jumping from here to Uterp could be someone's done the same jump and stopped halfway and put a quantum interdiction down. So what you're better off doing is doing this and then dropping off halfway out or something like that, or jumping to a different place and dropping halfway out and then going round it the other way. Don't do what I've done here. That's not the best. That's not the best move.
Quantum travel complete. Quantum travel engaged. Quantum travel complete. Landing gear down.
And you saw that, what I did there, I was coming in too hot and I just let go of my throttle and it just pulled back really quick. So the resistance of it is really good on this ship, on the Max. Now where we're coming here is Devlin Scrap and Salvage is one of the most windiest places I've ever visited. So windy. I'll turn some lights on, see if that helps. And so the hull A generally struggles here with this. Don't have my gears down enough.
Landing gear up.
No, it wasn't. Really, really dark here. Just trying to find where I'm at. My lights are not doing much good. So normally I can park like right really close in here. There we are, now we're getting some light. So I can normally park with these smaller ships here. I'm not too sure about the C1. That seems to struggle because of its size. It's the same, sort of the same size as the Max, but the Max seems to be able to fit in at certain angles. You see here, like I can just basically get in there.
Launch sequence complete.
Turn engines off.
Powering down systems.
So let's do this. Let's grab the uncut slam. Let's go and sell our cargo. Again, we're in a non-armistice zone, so be careful because pirates and other people will just sit around here waiting for people to come. So we're going to head to this building here. It's the building with the double thing. There's some ladders around there. And we're going to drop off this uncut slam. Supposed to be dropping this, but only here. Not here now. No. Okay, I'm not too sure where I'm supposed to be dropping that, but there you go. We'll figure that out in a minute. Let's sell this wares. Let's sell our stuff first. I'm not too bothered about that mission at the moment. But let's sell this cargo. So we've got the Freelancer Max. We paid just under $1 million for it. Let's go take the Widow first. Let's sell all that. That's that done. Then we go for the ETAM next. Sell all of that. Can only sell 2 ETAM, so it must be full here. Have you noticed some of these are going down as well? So it said, so there's an error, so be careful with this. There was an error there. It said that I only had 2 ETAM when I actually supposed to have had 20. And now it's saying I've only got 16 toxin when I had 30. So we lost out quite a lot there because of that. So there's another 4. There's another 4. And there's another 4. So is there an error here or something? And then there's a 2 there. So I wonder it's because it's moving it all around or something. Let's get rid of that 2. That should be the 30 then. And now's the ETAM. You can sell it in 2s. So something weird's going on with it, but it's still letting me sell it, so that's good. So we should have to do this like 10 times because it's telling me let me sell 2s. So you've still got 14 cargo, you can see there. I got 12. So I sold it all in the end, so that's good. We did get there. It's just it's doing it in a weird way like this. And we've got 1 left to do. There we are. Done. That's it. We sold our cargo. So let's have a look what we've got left here now. So we're on 8.9 million. We started off with 8.68. So we've made 310,000 on that run. 310,000 in that one run. So in the C1 we made about 175-ish thousand, and in that one we made 310,000. Massive difference, but you've got to also remember that we was able to get 50 slam or widow, whichever one it was, that very, very expensive one. Whereas we was only able to get 28 in the C1. If in the C1 he was able to get 50, we would have got a better price. And so keep that in mind. I reckon it could have been about 200,000. So there's probably about 100,000 difference. Because with a C1 and you're only getting 64 cargo, but when you go to these places like where you're doing the vice running, if you can get more, say if we got 50 slam, we'd only need then 14 neon or ETAM. Whereas in a max, we'd get the 50 slam, then we'd have to get 50 ETAM, and then we could get 20 neon. So the price of that is getting lower and lower in each new cargo. So the price that extra that you're getting in something like a max is going to get lower and lower the more it goes down because the stock you're getting is worth less. So the good thing with something like the C1 is you can get the more expensive stock when there's only a little bit of it, and you're going to more than likely fill your cargo with the expensive stock rather than getting the same stock in a max and then having to fill it with smaller stock. So say if we got 28 cargo in the C1 that we got earlier, if we'd have gone over at the same time in the max, we'd have got 28 cargo in the max, and then we would have filled up with a toxin at the end, which isn't worth as much. So it shows the difference then. The price that you extra that you're getting because of the extra cargo space is going down and down and down. So it ends up becoming to a point where you're not actually getting double, even though it's got double the cargo, you're not getting double the profit because the cargo you're getting is not worth double the money as it goes down in the different cargo types. So just keep that in mind. And so, guys, this is just my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it and in the comments section. And remember, this is me looking at vice cargo running. With these ships, you're only going to be able to do vice cargo running. If you want to start doing normal cargo running, then you're going to be looking at something like the Taurus and ships with more cargo like that. Unless you want to earn around 30 to 40, which you can do. 30 to 40,000 is still reasonable if that's what you want to earn. You can get some good clean cargo running, earning 30 or 40,000 in the smaller ships like the C1. And just keep that in mind though. If you're going for profit, then you've got to go for the vice and gold. If you just go in because you will love the fun of cargo running and you're not too bothered about the profit, then you can get normal profit in the safer cargo routes by just going for things like laminite and beryl and stuff like that, with the smaller ships as well, but just you're not going to get the same amount of profit. So this is all about vice running and earning the maximum profit with these ships for me. So yeah, keep that in mind. So we hope you liked this video, guys. If you did like this video, don't forget to hit that point and tickle that like button. Don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe notification. Check out that description, guys, for the Discord link, the org link, and if you want to help out the channel further, there's also a join membership button there where you get shout outs in videos and some other goodies like that. And yeah, so we hope you like this one, guys, and we'll see you guys out in the verse.